My friends, some of you may be sad that summer is reaching its end, but believe me when I say that we have the most exciting time of the year ahead of us because we are officially entering the pre-EICMA weeks that are going to be filled with many announcements, many very interesting news, and of course the climax will be at EICMA during the month of November with all the big announcements of motorcycles from all the manufacturers. But before we go to that time of the year, we're gonna do our regular weekly, now it's gonna become a tradition, Q&A session that I translate directly from the YouTube channel, the French YouTube channel. And so all the questions that are gonna be asked of me in those videos, I will translate them in those ones on the English channel. But before we go further, I would like to review a bit of what the motorcycle industry had to offer during this last week and on the English YouTube channel. And first of all, we had this very mysterious teasing from Yamaha saying that a revolution is coming. According to them, the industry has been following the same rhythm for too long. It's time to challenge it, and they have something new coming. Very ambitious, very mysterious, and we don't have that many more informations aside from a time and a place, November 2nd in Milan, of course, the day before EICMA. I am super curious to know what Yamaha has in store for us, but if those words really bear their weight, we're gonna have something very interesting to watch in November. So if you didn't watch the video yet, please do so. It is kind of interesting in my opinion. I also published, of course, the first Q&A session with the main theme being how to prevent bike theft. In my opinion, the best methods to prevent bike theft. And finally, pictures stolen from what could be the next generation of GS motorcycles at BMW, the missing link between the 450 and the 900, which could be a 600cc machine with the same engine as the 450, but reboard with a higher displacement value. Also a very interesting video. If you haven't watched it yet, please do so. First question from Micheluso, which asks us, can you do a quality check and list any issues after several uses of the R1300 RASA, which for some of you on this channel, maybe you still don't know it, but this is my new motorcycle, my new personal machine that I fell in love with last year, the R1300R, which is an incredible monster. And I'm not gonna do all the brief about this machine, the resume of the machine right now, because I am preparing a video after the first maintenance, which will occur, I think, on September 9th. I'm gonna take the motorcycle to the dealership, and so I'm gonna make some modifications on the machine, namely the exhaust. I'm gonna put in a Krapovic one. I'm gonna put a high seat on the bike, also a GPS, support to put a screen on it. So once I have all those things, I will make a video also in English to talk to you guys about the bike and all the big qualities, also some of the flaws. I just will say right now that there are many great qualities on the machine, and I am super happy with it. But there are one or two things that I really have a bit of trouble with, namely the heat of the bike. The heat it gives off is kinda boring, namely when you are riding in the summer. Now that the temperatures are gonna drop a bit, it will be a bit better, but still it is kind of something that is annoying me, and I have some solutions in mind, some of them being perfectly legal and others I would not resort to if I have the choice, but more on that later on. The only thing I can tell you guys is that right now I am completely in love with my R1300R. It is a fantastic motorcycle, and I will explain more about that in a few weeks, so stay tuned. It's gonna come very soon. Next question from Reptile Cove, which asks, what is the motorcycle option that you couldn't live without anymore? Super interesting question, because there are some things on motorcycles that I am really having trouble living without from now on, and the more time passes, the more certain options are really difficult for me to not have on a motorcycle. And I'm not gonna give you one definite answer, one like this is the option I couldn't live without, because there are some things that are really troublesome for me to live without. But I would say there are three main things, main technologies, main things that are super important for me. I'm not gonna talk about ABS or traction control, because in my opinion, for all the motorcycles that have been released like from 10 years ago, all of those have, in the vast majority of cases, ABS and traction control, so it's almost like mandatory for me. But the first one, I think in the order of priority for me, the first one would be the shifter. Like having a motorcycle without a shifter today is kind of hard for me, because it changes so much the ease of use of a motorcycle in everyday situations. You don't have to grab your clutch lever every time you have to switch a gear, and it is super pleasant to have a motorcycle that you can really freely use. On the R1300R, which I possess, that has all the options available. It's going even further because I have the ASA automatic gearbox, so I don't even have really a clutch lever to speak of. But just simply the shifter up and down is something that I would really have trouble living without. So I would say this is the first one. The second one is probably the cruise control, something that we have in terms of options in this motorcycle as a standard equipment. You have the cruise control. On the R1300R, it's even beyond that, because it's an adaptive cruise control, so it is very cool, and it is something that can really change things when you go on long trips, when you have to do some highway. When I went to Portugal with Mathilde, my girlfriend, and I had the Multistrada V4 Grand Tour that one of the dealerships I work with lent me. Having the adaptive cruise control was really something that was super cool, and strangely enough, it is kind of something that is even more important, in my opinion, in sports bikes than on like a adventure bike or a naked bike or any other kind of motorcycle, because in a sport bike it's really something that can alleviate the way you can ride on the machine in an everyday basis. It's something that they make on the S1000RR, and I find the option fantastic, because you can like stand tall. You can really stand tall. You can really like alleviate a bit of your shoulders, of your wrists, of your back, and it really changes the way you ride your machine every day. So I would say that it is kind of one of the options that are really important for me. And the last one is really kind of like a gadget, something that is not that important, but I really do love that. It's just over my head, and it is the angle indicator, and I really love to have that on a motorcycle, like the angle indicator that allows you to know when you take a curve like that you are used to. Today I made like 22 degrees, and maybe tomorrow I can go 23, always with all the necessary precautions and security, of course. But even on a track, it's kind of something that is really pleasant, and it gives a very fun dimension to riding a motorcycle. So I would say those are the three most important, in my opinion: the shifter, the cruise control, and also after the angle indicator are my three most important options I would have some trouble living without in a motorcycle. Next question from Geoffrey, so Jeffrey DTR in English, I think. Hi, what do you think the chances are that the CFMOTO 1000 NK could be unveiled at EICMA 2026? So it is a very interesting question. All of you, or maybe all of you, know that one of the most anticipated motorcycles this year, and maybe the most expected machine of all year and maybe the years to come, is about to be released. I am talking about the CFMOTO 1000 V4 SR RR, which is really a machine that has so many stakes upon it, so many things riding on this machine, not only us. Really, it's gonna change the way we perceive the Chinese motorcycle industry, the way we perceive CFMOTO as a brand, and it's entering like a different world, a different threshold, and of course, this bike is super hugely expected. And believing that CFMOTO is going to use this in-house engine, this new V4 engine on other types of motorcycles is almost like a given to me. They are going to take advantage of this engine on other machines, and the very logical next choice would be, of course, to make a naked bike. As of today, the market in terms of naked bikes in CFMOTO lineup is composed of, depending on the country you are living in, we have 125cc machines, we have 450, 675 with the brand new in-house 3-cylinder engine, and we have, of course, the 800 NK, which is as of now today, one of the most interesting naked machines you can buy, entry-level naked machines, mid-cc displacement, fantastic motorcycle. But we know how like CFMOTO worked their way in those last years. They started by doing partnerships first with Kawasaki for their 700cc machines. Then we went to the partnership with KTM, which was a whole other level because now they really work closely. They even assemble KTM machines for the Chinese market. So we had all of the 800 NK NT bikes that were equipped with the 790 Duke engine, and then they went to in-house engines like the twin cylinder from the 450 SR and MT, the inline 3-cylinder engine for the 675 SRR, and now we have the V4 SRRR, which is really the next level. And so it's completely understandable that they want to show how like good they are. They like can do the same thing or even better than the big names. And so, of course, the V4 SRRR will be the first one and maybe the most important one because it will lead the charge, much like the Ninja H2R led the charge of the supercharged machines, But then we had the H2SX, we had the ZH2, the Ninja H2, and for the V4 SRRR, it will be the same. To answer the question, I really don't think that we will see a 1000 NK this year at EICMA 2026, simply because I don't think that CFMOTO wants to have, two very important bikes to overshadow one another when this machine is so important for the Chinese market and for the Chinese industry rather, because it will be sold on many countries, and also for CFMOTO as a brand. So I really do expect that this year for EICMA 2026 we will have the final revelation, the commercial announcement of this bike, and then next year we will probably have one or two announcements. Even we could have maybe a naked machine, a 1000 NK, and also maybe an adventure bike, something like much closer to the crossover types that we have, like the M1000 XR or the Multistrada V4 RS. We could have a 1000 V4 MT, which could be also very interesting. But in my opinion, this year we will only have the V4 SRRR, and it will already be something that I am looking forward very much, and I think you are a lot expecting this bike, so many more informations coming on this channel, guys. The next question and the last question is from BBZ Biker, who asks us, hi, in your opinion, which Japanese builder, manufacturer, European resists the Chinese invasion the best? And that's a very interesting question, because in my opinion, there are really two schools, two ways of answering this question, depending if we are talking about Japanese brands or European brands. You will see that they don't have the same way of dealing with the problem. They are completely different depending on which continent, which country we are talking about. So first of all, I'm gonna talk about the Japanese brands, and in my opinion, The Japanese brand that is today the best equipped to fight against the Chinese invasion, should I call it like that, is undoubtedly Honda. Because for many people, Honda has started like fighting this menace, this threat, like 1 or 2 years ago, when in reality, the first bike that was a counter-attack to all the strategies that the Chinese were putting in place was this bike, the CB750 Hornet, which was announced in November 2022 at EICMA, at the motorcycle show. I was there, and this machine was announced at a price that it didn't need to succeed. It was announced at 7,800 euros in France. So you can have like a point of comparison, because depending on your countries, the prices are not the same. But at that time, the MT-07 wasn't like the new version. It hadn't been modified. I think the modification was last year. So we were in 2022. And the MT-07 still cost, I think, like 7,500 or even like closer to 8,000 euros. And this CB750 Hornet was way better in terms of performance, in terms of spec sheet, in terms of design, in terms of technology. It was like so much better. The bike could have been sold at 8,500 euros. It still would have been a hit. And the story proved Honda right, because in 2023 in France, this bike was the most sold, the most successful motorcycle. Like, just in the first year of commercialization, it was the most successful machine, and in 2024 it was the second most sold motorcycle. So they really knew right from the go that they were doing that not to aim to, you know, the Japanese market as a whole, but directly to the Chinese opponents, and it kept like that. And then we had the second strike, which was, of course, the CB1000 Hornet with a completely crazy bang for buck ratio. This machine costs in France for the SP version 11,800 euros, sorry, which is like close to the price of a Z900, which doesn't have the same finish. Of course, this machine has to make some concessions, but for this price, guys, you have an inline 4-cylinder engine with 157 HP of power. You have Brembo style HEMA brakes. You have an Öhlins rear shock absorber. You have a real good value. Like, it's almost maybe, I think, the best bang for buck ratio in all the industry, all the market, maybe with the SRK 921 from CFMOTO, but it's still so good. And we add more things, like recently with the CB1000 GT, which is also a very nice value, like 14,000 euros for a very well equipped bike. So those are the weapons that Honda is unsheathing right now, but there are many more things coming, and one of them, the most important, I would say, is of course the prototype for the V3R900 e-compressor machine, which will probably also be announced at EICMA 2026. I refuse to think that Honda is not going to have big news for this machine. And must I remind you that we are in front of one of the very first motorcycles with an electric compressor, an electric supercharger, which is completely different from what we have on the H2 family from Kawasaki. They announced, so we have a V-shaped 3-cylinder engine, but on this bike we're gonna have like it's a 900cc engine, but they are expecting a power equivalent to that of a 1200cc machine. And there are some things that make me think we're gonna have a very powerful motorcycle, because on the prototype that we've seen, this machine was equipped with a 200mm rear tire, and those are not dimensions that you find on a 120, 130 HP machine. It is somewhat reserved to like over 200 HP sports bikes and very powerful hyper naked machines like a Tuono, a Super Duke. I'm not even sure that all the machines in that category uses that big of tires, so I'm really expecting that the bike will be ferociously powerful. So they are working on two sides at the same time, having a very, very good bang for buck ratio, and at the same time making new things, like really trying to innovate, trying to bring new things to the table. And that is really the way Japanese are working right now. I really do think that Honda is a bit more advanced than Yamaha, Kawasaki and Suzuki, but we are also expecting big things coming from them. So we will wait for EICMA 2026 to see what happens. But still, in my opinion, they have a good way of looking at things. And then we have the European brands, which really do things in a completely different way. And I'm gonna take a very, very clear example of that with Ducati, because Ducati, they are making things like completely different. Don't expect a good bang for buck ratio from Ducati if you are just looking at the spec sheet, but Ducati is going to offer something that is much more oriented towards luxury, high-grade, premium motorcycles. And you are buying not only like the motorcycle, like in this example, I am showing a Street Fighter V4S, which is one of the most expensive machines that Ducati has to offer. But we are very close to the 30,000 euros mark, which is like completely crazy. But you also have a 214 HP naked machine. It is the most powerful naked motorcycle you have on the whole industry as of now. You have the brand, you have like the history of Ducati, and that is something that the Chinese brands will have much more difficulty to get. They can make incredible motorcycles with very nice features, with an incredible bang for buck quality and value, but they won't be able that soon to go search what Ducati has to offer, meaning the originality, the difference, the feeling of belonging to a community also. That is something that Ducati has been cultivating for all its existence, and they made that very, very successfully. So I'm gonna say that they are still working, and they will keep working towards luxury, high grade, and they know it's maybe one of the best options they have to really stand apart all the other brands. And it is something that in a certain way BMW is also doing, but they have a different philosophy, and they have this machine, like having the GS, the big GS bike, is already by itself a victory, and it will be a long, long time before Chinese brands manage to, take the place in the heart of people that love the GS machines, because those bikes are incredible. And it's also a question of belonging to something, to a brand. Like people that buy BMW, they really have trouble buying other brands, because BMW is BMW. They have like big flows, but they also have very big qualities that you can almost only find at BMW, quite frankly. And I will talk about that when I make the video about the R1300R, because there are really some things that BMW is almost the only brand to do. And they aren't that expensive compared to Ducati. If you want an example, like the M1000R is around 23,000 euros, like almost 24,000 euros. But at that price, you have something that doesn't need any kind of options, any kind of additional options. You already have the semi-active suspensions, you have the brakes from the M1000RR, you have 210 HP, and we are really talking about a bike that is 4,000 euros less expensive than the Street Fighter V4S, and it is something that BMW does remarkably well. Their machines are expensive, that is for sure, but for the value you get, I really do think that they are worth the price. Like my motorcycle, the R1300R, costs something around 24,000 euros, so it's almost the same price as this machine, but I have so many things. I have an automated gearbox, I have an adaptive cruise control. It's the only naked machine in the market that has that. I have hill start control, heated grips, heated seats. I have so many things on the motorcycle, so it's really a question of what you are expecting from the bike and what it delivers to you. Sometimes it over delivers, like you have so many things that you really don't need, but it's still gonna give those things to you. and it's your choice to take them or not. But European brands, at least those ones, are really like standing apart from what the Japanese do, and they are more trying to go for something that is high grade, premium, belonging to a community. There are other brands that may do things differently in Europe, like ATM, like Aprilia, but all of those names are quite specific, and we will see how they evolve in the future. But I would say that the most safest brands as of now in Europe are definitely BMW and Ducati, because they are offering something that just having good cheap motorcycles is not gonna bring them. So it's kind of interesting. So tell me in the comments, what are your opinions on this matter? Do you really think that Honda may be the safest Japanese brand in front of the Chinese menace? In terms of Europeans, do you think that maybe KTM or Aprilia has more chances to really manage to successfully live in this new Chinese world? Because it's kind of the case. I am super interested, and we are reaching the end of this video, guys. Tell me, what do you think about those formats, those type of videos? I am super happy to be able to bring them to you, and maybe the next video will be about a very interesting topic about BMW once again, and then I may get a motorcycle from one of my dealership partners, so I will be able to bring you a review very soon. In the meantime, guys, girls, stay safe, enjoy riding, see you.